I've left the troll community. I'm not involved with them.
Stay hot, Cyraxx, shadow boxing, swinging at the air, undefeated in delusion. Reality don't care, Jupiter creeping, got the whole crew shook. Predator vibes, got a band from the book, Josh Block at the hill. Bottle in his clutch, captain of a ship that been sinking too much. Over Navy rattling, can't step to the throne. Worry, drop the mic, let them reap what they've sown.
What's up, guys? Welcome back to the show. Cyrax is crying about trolling again. Let's see what he has to say.
What's up, y'all? So, first of all, I just wanted to say that I will be making changes to this channel very gradually and very slowly over time. So, whenever you see a name change, don't be surprised. But I wanted to speak on something legal-wise. From my time of dealing with the people that I used to deal with that I no longer associate with, nor do I speak with, which is the topic of trolling and how it can lead to legal ramifications for both parties.
Cyrax Esquire is like a popular character recently. He's been popping up a lot lately. He's coming out, honestly, even more than Cyrax the Drift King or Cyrax the Rock God. Cyrax Esquire is here nonstop to tell us about the legal ramifications that you can find yourself in if you are mean to lunatics on the internet. Also, by the way, if he sounds slightly more coherent than usual, it's because in the original clip he actually sounded less coherent than usual, so I've got it at like 1.25 speed just to keep it moving a little bit, because as usual his pauses in between his words while he buffers and tries to figure out what he's going to say are just far too long for us to be sitting through.
I'm here to speak up for the victim side of things, and why I personally feel like victims, that even if they are pushed to do illegal things in order to fight back when they've already exhausted every single resource they can, why they should not be held responsible for their actions, and why they should not be jailed for fighting for their life. Because I myself have been in that position, so I can very much speak on these actions and speak on the subject matter.
What a weird place to start, you know what I mean? Like if you worked a retail job and you had a customer that was being difficult and getting irate with you, and you went into the back and you told your boss about it, and you were like, hey, look, when I go back out there to finish talking to this customer, I'm just saying, I feel like when people are getting really messed with at work, if they do something illegal, they probably shouldn't be held responsible for it. Immediately, your boss is going to be like, "Well, wait, what are you going to do? What are you planning on doing? What did you do?" Because it's like by even going down that route of argument, you're indicating that you either have or are planning to do. It's like you're trying to weasel your way out of any consequences for something before you even do the thing.
I myself have been the victim of trolling for over 8 years. And many, many, many times my family has tried to reach out for help. Over 113 times through every single branch of law enforcement. Yet we received no help. Which ultimately led me to at first try to do things the right way and ignore it. And it even got to the point where I left the internet for 3 or 4 months just to see if it would subside. And it didn't. It just got worse and worse and worse.
That's a lie. That's a lie. Cyrax has never been off of the internet in any capacity for months at a time. He has consistently had one, if not multiple channels active on multiple different platforms for like a decade now. The man has never, ever taken a real break from the internet. I wish that he would, because it would actually probably do him some good, but that's never happened. This is the same thing as when he meets a new friend and then he backdates it to they've been brothers since he was a kid. Like, Cyrax is aware of the fact that an amount of time that you spend on something is usually a good indicator for like how important that thing is, or how well established that thing is, so he just constantly exaggerates any amount of time regarding anything that he's trying to bring an air of seriousness to.
and worse because they began attacking me and my family in real life. So, I decided, you know what? I'm going to come back and I'm going to try to ignore them. I'm going to try to do my job and ignore them. And at that point, they just kept on reporting on my channels, doing my stuff, doing this, doing that, yada, 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 blah, blah, blah. Same song and dance they've been doing. Well, here's where things got messy. At one point, they pushed me to suicidal attempts 2 different times, about 5 years ago. I say 4.5, 5 years max.
He's talking about the stylus incident, which Cyrax's threat to himself using the poop stylus was like as legitimate as Nova's threat to himself via grabbing his own wrist really hard, supposedly. So like that's the level of sophistication that we're dealing with here when these people talk about I gotta be careful with YouTube how I phrase this. When these people talk about doing some damage to their own person, this is how legitimately we need to take that.
And after that, they began to do worse things, such as mail theft, forgery, destruction of property, terroristic bomb threats towards my house, swatting on an almost lethal level, and even went as far as to DDoS an attack. Not only myself on a regular level in general, but when I would do live streams, they would often DDoS me, leaving me vulnerable and helpless. And yet my family continued to try to reach out for help. And yet again, to no avail, we received nothing in return.
I just want to hone in on that phrasing real quick right there. He didn't say we didn't receive help, which they didn't, to be fair, because there's nothing to actually help with. Your adult son is being, or your adult grandson is being bullied by people on the internet for things that he actually did and brought that treatment upon himself. So there's nothing for, police or law enforcement to actually do anyway. But he didn't even say we didn't get help. He said we didn't get anything in return, because at the end of the day, that's what he wants. That's what they all want. It more important to Cyrax or to Tofia Chu or to Andy Ditch, like they don't necessarily even want there to be some type of a retribution on the people who are doing this to them. If you gave Cyrax the choice of, a couple $1,000s in restitution, or William Gloryhole gets sent to prison where he can never hurt anybody on the internet again, because that's what Cyrax is really concerned about, right? Is people being hurt by these trolls' behavior. He's taking the money 10 times out of 10 because he doesn't actually care about that. And I don't think he meant to admit it there, but he lets it slide there when he says we didn't even get anything in return. Like, that's what he wants. He wants to be financially and socially rewarded for being bullied on the internet. And that's not how it works. There's a scene in The Social Network with Jesse Eisenberg where he's on a date with, I don't know if she was his girlfriend or if they just went on a few dates, but the date goes poorly. And at the end of the date, the girl goes, you're going to go through your whole life thinking that people don't like you because you're a nerd, but that's not true. People don't like you because you're an asshole. And that's Cyrax's thing, right? Like, Cyrax believes that people don't like him maybe because he looks funny, or people don't like him, because he comes off as cringe on the internet. No, people don't like you because of the things that they know that you have done consistently and that you continue to do, and that you either lie and say that you didn't do, or you defend doing, depending on what day it is. So it's like, all of this stuff isn't happening in a vacuum, totally unprompted, where you're just being, Cyrax just posts a video of himself doing karaoke on the internet one day, and everybody comes down to destroy him. Like, he started getting treated this way after people found out what he was doing, and that's the part that he so conveniently always glosses right over.
Now, the reason why I feel, and honestly truly believe why victims of that caliber like myself should not be held responsible for what we do, no matter what it is that we do to retaliate, whether it's, doing extreme stuff like what I did with the threats, the flashing a rifle to give people a warning not to screw with me, or whether it's, whatever it may be. That person that's getting attacked should not be held responsible for their actions, especially when they have exhausted every single resource of law enforcement that they can. Whether it's police, detectives, FBI, SVU, whether it's the CIA, whether it's Homeland Security, no matter who it is. That victim, that person that's being victimized, should not be held accountable for their actions given the circumstance of the level of the cyberbullying that has taken place.
So, like, the logic of this argument just falls apart immediately if you start to think about it, and it's so crazy that he thinks that this is a reasonable thing to say, and that people are going to agree with him and be like, yeah, absolutely, cyberbullying victims should be able to do whatever they want. The first, like, fallacy that you come across with this argument immediately is that if you were to say, when people are pushed to the brink, or when people are a victim of some type of, bullying online or social ostracization or whatever it is, then they can't be held accountable for extreme actions that they take. That wouldn't only apply to you, Cyrax. And the thing that, gets in the way of that immediately is that whether or not you're a victim is totally subjective, and usually it's you classifying yourself as that. So what if they go to arrest Low T for what he did to you, and Low T says, well, mommy and daddy yelled at me when I was a kid and I got bullied in school, so I'm a victim, so I snapped and I can't be held accountable for it, Like, anyone can make the claim that they only did what they did because they were pushed to the brink because they've just been dealing with so much stress from, bullying and negativity in their lives. So that wouldn't just apply to you, and it could end up blowing up in your face. And then the other part of this is that even in situations where someone is legitimately, like, they have to do something extreme because they've been placed in a precarious situation, there are still limits to what they can do. There are investigations all the time when stores get robbed and the shop owner defends himself, maybe using a firearm. There's always a big investigation into that, because if your store is being robbed, yeah, that's a dangerous and stressful situation for you, and you have a right to defend yourself. But that right only goes so far. It's one thing to defend yourself while you're being attacked in the store. It's a totally different thing to, get in your car and chase the assailant back to their house and then break into their house and attack them. Like, there's a limit. You wouldn't just be able to say, well, my store got attacked, so that's why I did this. Like, there's a limit. So the more extreme the situation is, this is why I'm using the example of a place being robbed. That's a more extreme example. So you would get to take, like, pretty extreme measures to defend yourself in that situation. Cyberbullying of an adult man is not an extreme scenario. So your recourse that you get to take for that, you don't get to do anything extreme in response to that, especially because in a lot of other situations, if somebody's being mugged in an alleyway, or if someone's having their shop broken into, whatever it is, those people didn't really have a choice to not be in that situation. Like, that oftentimes is what being a victim is. It's something happened to you and you didn't really have any choice about it. It's just happening to you in the situation. You are 100% voluntarily choosing to go on the internet and put out new content nearly every single day, knowing exactly what waits for you there. So at that point, you don't you're not a victim because you don't have to be in this situation. Just go offline, you know? And this is what police have told him over and over and over again. They've told Sally to get rid of the internet in the house, and you know, she won't do it, or he keeps finding ways around it. Like, if you could get this guy away from Wi-Fi and you could get this guy away from 5G, all of his problems would evaporate.
Because no matter how you cut it, that person is merely only trying to do what they can to make the situation better. They are trying to make a situation in which local law enforcement is refusing to step in. And they're merely trying to put a stop to the problem. And this is a very common theme. This is a very common theme, especially within the troll community and what the trolls consider a lolcow, which I used to be a lolcow, but I'm not anymore because I've left the troll community. I'm not involved with them. The only time I ever speak on them is if they attack a friend and I'm defending a friend or standing up for a friend. That is the only time I will ever engage with them. Even if they leave shitty comments, I ignore it.
This is like if a felon said, well, I used to be a felon, but I'm not anymore because I choose not to engage with law enforcement anymore. It's like, no, that's not a... I know Cyrax is used to assigning himself titles, like how he assigns himself the title of Drift King and Rockstar and all this stuff, but Lolcow is not an optional title. It's not something that you anoint yourself as. Other people decide when you are and are not that thing, and you can't just say, like, you know, it's not if a tree falls in the woods. Like, you can't just say, like, oh, well, if I'm not looking at the trolls, then I'm not a Lolcow. Like, no, yes, you are. As long as there are people on the internet making videos about you doing dumb shit and cracking jokes about the scabs on your head, you're a Lolcow. You don't get to decide that.
But if you ask me, these people that are being considered lolcows and are getting tricked into doing illegal stuff or being attacked, wrongfully attacked, for no reason but monetary gain, or to be extorted, like what I've had done to me many times, along with illegal entrapment, property damage, you name it. I've had a lot of fucked up shit done to me. That person should not be held responsible. If anything, the person or the persons, the people that are doing the attacking, they should be the ones held responsible for everything.
He's starting to sound like somebody on a Chris Hansen sting, you know what I mean? Where he's like, well, not only should you not get in trouble if you're quote unquote entrapped by something, but actually the person doing the entrapment, they're the bad guy. It's like the whole point of like a sting, which you've completely fallen for because that's, you know, the type of life that you live, is to protect somebody from the thing actually happening. You know what I mean? Like, if somebody, if there was somebody stealing cars in a neighborhood and, you know, the police left a very nice car unlocked in that neighborhood with a GPS tracker on it, and then you stole that car and they caught you for it, you can't be like, well, you know, you can't arrest me for this because you guys put that car there. It's like, well, yeah, because if we didn't put this car there, you were going to steal a real car. And we know that you were going to steal someone's actual car because you stole this one. That's the proof. Like, that's the point of these operations. That's the point of these things. If it wasn't this, you know, at least in this case, you committed the crime and we caught you, but there was no victim. However, if we had not placed this car in this neighborhood, then there would actually be someone who got robbed. It's so funny that they think that they somehow have the moral high ground because they're mad that they got tricked. That's all it is. They're mad that they were dumb enough to get tricked, and now they're upset because they're like, well, wait, I didn't even get to actually victimize somebody, and I'm still being held responsible? That sucks. It's like, yeah, sometimes you steal stuff and you get away with the money, and sometimes you steal stuff and you get caught, and man, you don't even get the money out of the register. It sucks to suck, you know? Like...
Because when you back a dog into a corner and you attack it enough and you keep on attacking it over and over and over and over, you know, and you're taunting it and you're teasing it and you're doing whatever you can to get in its face, eventually that dog is going to snap back. And when that dog does bite back and snap at you, it is going to be your fault for antagonizing that animal. It's the same with a human being. You push a person far enough, and you back them into a corner enough, they can and will and more than likely are going to do things, whether legal or not legal, that they feel they have to do, that they would normally not do to make a situation stop and cease. Which is why I personally feel like Kiwi Farms and all these other troll communities, they need to be banned from the internet. They need to be shut down. Because these people are what's wrong with the internet. These people are what is wrong with social media. Because you have normal individuals like myself and many others that are out here trying to live our lives normally and make an honest living. But yeah, we're the chosen targets. Why? For me, I don't know. I never did understand why I got made a target.
Chance, come on. The amount of panels that you have been on, the amount of, other people's channels where they interview you, people have made 2 and 3 hour long videos, like documentaries, breaking down exactly why you are a target of this stuff. They sit there and make it as clear as day what it is that you did that led to people feeling the way that they feel about you. And this is true of all the Lolcows. They all like to sit there and pretend that they have no understanding of how their life got to this place or how this happened to them or why people are coming after them. And it's like, no, there was always an initial flashpoint where people found out that you did something gross, and then they started looking into you harder, and then because you're somebody who consistently does gross things, they found like 12 or 13 other examples, and that's the thing. And Cyraxx, yours has been out there for years now. Everybody knows what it is, so you can't... This playing dumb thing doesn't even add up when you've spent so many hours defending exactly the thing that you're now saying you don't even know why people are coming at you.
But for other people, it varies. For people like myself, it could be anything from people are jealous of me, I look different, it is what it is type stuff. I don't know why I got made a target. But I do know why certain individuals like Anacondason, Tony the Black Dragon, White Bowser, all those people, I understand why they got made a target.
So, all the all the other Lolcows, they're all targets because of stuff that they actually did. But with Cyraxx, it's just like, he's too rich, he's too successful, women love him too much, he's like... Everybody else is a target because of like the heinous crimes that they've committed, but Cyraxx is a target because he's just too cool a dude. Like, make that make sense. Make it make sense.
I understand why Chris Chan got made a target to an extent. As far as his case goes, I understand it to an extent.
I bet you do understand it, because not to the same extent, but as far as there being dangerous domestic situations between a grown man and his elderly female caretaker, yeah, I bet you do have a little bit of an understanding. I bet you have a little bit of empathy for old Chris Chan even.
But at the end of the day, these people get victimized and bullied, and yet they're the ones that get jailed. People like myself fight back against these people for the greater good of humanity. People like myself fight back out of desperation, out of fear, because we have no choice whatsoever. But yeah, we still get arrested, jailed.
Cyraxx is fighting the trolls in a holy war for the greater good of humanity. He's not doing it for him, guys. He's doing it for us. You know that meme of the soldier and all the knives and the bullets are coming at his back, and he's taking it all so that like the little girl can read the book or whatever. Like, that's That's Cyrax. He's the last bastion of democracy. If Cyrax falls, Cyrax is like the Ukraine of the internet. If Cyrax falls, you know, we're all gonna be getting trolled tomorrow. It's after they come for him, they come for you. So thank God that he's out there fighting the good fight, you know, holding up his Captain America shield to defend all of us from the ire of Blame Katie and William Gloryhole and WordBoi, or else, you know, they're going to be on our doorsteps next. So we salute you, Cyrax, and we'll see you soon. Everybody, thanks for coming by the channel again. If you like the content, like and subscribe. I got another Andy Ditch video coming your way soon, so y'all have a good one.